It is great to see everybody here on this beautiful Friday evening in January. It is the 5th of January, 2024, and I'm Mary Grace. This is Grace Time TV on the Mary Grace Media Network, and we have some amazing shows lined up for you this week. We've already had General Flynn here. If you missed that, please go back and watch it because, as you can imagine, the powers that want to be in charge have been suppressing it, especially over on Facebook. So check that out. It was a few days ago, and we have our friend Clay Clark with us today. And as we're just waiting for a couple more people to get the notification, please remember that the best way to find out that we are on air is to go to marygracemedia.com and go down and sign up for my email list. I was on my YouTube channel the other day, and believe it or not, my YouTube channel was restored after 2 years. They said they made a mistake. Anyway, people on YouTube were like, Mary Grace, we haven't seen you in forever. That's because you're not on my email list. You didn't know that I was still broadcasting on other channels. marygracemedia.com. Go there, get on the mailing list, and also do some shopping while you're there because our America First companies that I list on my site are partnered with me so that they can help you get better products and they can help me keep the show on air. Without further ado, I'm going to get you right over here to Clay Clark. Clay, it's wonderful to have you on the show here. Welcome back. You're on Grace Time. Happy New Year.
Hey, Happy New Year to you and wild times that we live in here.
Yeah, it's a little crazy. I mean, we've already had alien sightings apparently down in Miami. I'm not so sure about that, but it certainly creates a big distraction from things that people probably should be paying closer attention to. And I got to tell you, President Trump's been on fire lately on his Truth Social account. He's not holding anything back, especially with regard to the depravity of the people that are still trying to run the country into the ground. Tell us some of the things that you've found out recently about some of the things that are going on behind the scenes that Americans should be aware of. Actually, people around the world should be aware of because you're so good at taking deep dives and giving us sort of the tea on the stuff that people just don't even know they should be looking for.
Well, I'm going to give a lot of citations, and I encourage everyone to follow along, and I'll fire off, let's say, about 10 things everyone should look up. So if you're out there watching today and you have a notepad or Etch-a-Sketch with nearby or a ketchup packet that you can squeeze some ketchup out of, whatever you need to do to take some notes here, maybe chisel it. First thing we need to talk about is inside shots that a lot of people have taken is a technology called graphene. Graphene. Why don't you just look up graphene, okay? What we're going to do is I'm going to tell you what to type into Google, and then you can look this up later yourself if you want, folks. I'm going to type in graphene semiconductor Reuters. So graphene semiconductor Reuters, Reuters. And when you do that, you're going to find, as of yesterday, Georgia Tech has reported that the first ever graphene semiconductor could be used basically to speed up computers and can be used in everyday technology. So what does that mean? Well, if you have a computer, or like this is my razor, that's my shaver, inside.
What are you doing? What's that doing?
This is my. I always keep it at my desk. I'm always keeping in between stuff. I'm always share. It's my thing. But anyway, so but this right here, you have inside this is electronics. You're going to have microchips in here. There's going to be silicone technology inside a computer. The computer I'm broadcasting from, the TV screen. A lot of this is silicone technology. Graphene, though, is going to be used moving forward in a lot of technology. Now, graphene will be used to create the circuits or the technology. Now, graphene, inside the shots, there was RNA modifying nanotechnology and a technology called graphene, which is a self-replicating technology. So it can actually grow over time. It can grow in size, exponentially double size. And that is now inside the shots. And now Reuters is reporting and other major outlets that, hey, by the way, we can now use graphene to create networks where we can create basically semiconductors. So what I'm saying is the technology now exists to turn a human body into essentially a circuit board using graphene technology that's in the shots. And you might say,
what would be the outcome of this type of activity?
Well, Yuval Noah Harari talks about it, and so let me pull this up real quick so you can hear him, because when you hear this kind of stuff, it sounds unbelievable, but if you hear it from the people that are saying it, it maybe it seems more plausible than if I say it. So let me hit play here. This is Yuval Noah Harari, top advisor for Obama, Zuckerberg, Gates, MIT, Stanford, Harvard. Here he is.
And once you can connect directly brains and computers, you can, the idea that your entire body must be in the same place at the same time. My hands must be connected to my body in order to function. This is true of organic hands.
Okay, he's talking about connecting brains to computers. Now listen to this. He continues on his rant. Listen to this.
A good two-way communication system, direct communication system between brains and computers. This is kind of the watershed moment. Once you have a good two-way, nobody has any idea what happens after that. If you have a good two-way communication system directly between brains and computers, it also means you can connect several brains together.
Okay, so wow. Okay, so you have that. Now, again, when was this reported? Yesterday, this came out via Georgia Tech, and you can look up graphene semiconductors, Reuters. Now, the same day, Russia and China have reported that they have successfully tested quantum communication over satellite. What does that mean? I'm going to read this to you. It says, following recent demos of quantum communication using undersea fiber optics, scientists from both Russia and China have successfully demonstrated quantum communication over satellite using China's quantum satellite dubbed MOSI, as the two countries laid the groundwork for advanced encrypted communication networks that are safe from prying Western eyes. Anyway, so now you're starting to see China and Russia saying, hey, by the way, we're using quantum technology to be able to communicate in a way where you as Americans can't determine what we're saying. So just to be clear, the technology was announced yesterday that China and Russia could do this. Simultaneously, Georgia Tech announces, oh, by the way, we now can use graphene, which could be injectable via syringe, to connect your brain to it can allow your body to serve as a semiconductor, like a microchip. So you got these two ideas here. Third idea, I want people to understand this. Charles Lieber, look him up. Charles Lieber. If you go to timetoFreeAmerica.com/revelation, you can read his patents, Charles Lieber. But Charles Lieber was a Harvard scientist. timetoFreeAmerica.com/revelation, you can see his patents. He was a Harvard scientist that got paid $50,000 a month by the Chinese to create RNA modifying nanotechnology to be injected in the human body via syringe. Now you might be saying, what does this mean? What are you saying? So this is from Fox News on this would be the December 23rd of 2021. So this is Fox News reporting how his technology works. Listen to this.
U.S. intelligence shows China is using advanced technologies like gene editing and brain control weapons to advance its military and to crush dissent.
Let's hear it again, folks. Listen to this.
U.S. intelligence shows China is using advanced technologies like gene editing and brain control weapons to advance its military and to crush dissent.
Okay. So you see, brain control weapons. Now you say, okay, this is fact number 3. What about fact number 4? What are you doing? Well, during the lockdowns, if you'll notice that 5G towers went up. So during the lockdown, 5G towers went up. 5 is penta, G is gram. The 5G towers went up during the lockdowns. And so now the Earth is now covered, blanketed with these 5G towers, pentagram towers, and the Earth is now covered with 30,000 low orbit satellites that were put there by the Dragon rockets. And those 30,000 low orbit satellites now emit 5G. 5 is penta, G is gram, which connects to the RNA modifying nanotechnology that goes under your skin, connected via syringe. And that technology is called graphene, and graphene can now serve as a semiconductor. Hopefully we're starting to see what the connection there. So the Bible tells us that they shall all be of one mind. They shall all be of one mind. What? Of one mind?
What scripture is that?
This is great. I love it. Okay. Revelation chapter 17, verse 13. It says they have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. So now it takes us to this week. Maybe your listeners saw this week, but in Miami, they had to shut down a major shopping center in Miami because there was a flash mob of people that appeared to be demon possessed that all showed up at the same place and time and began acting crazy. This was the Miami Mall chaos, and it was freaking people out. And if you haven't seen it, you just go to Twitter and type in Miami Mall. You can see it. But
They're saying now it was aliens.
Okay.
They're trying to tell us it was aliens.
So you have the Bayside Marketplace where you have video footage from many of, innocent bystanders that said that hundreds of people, dozens and dozens, hundreds, whatever the numbers are, of people began to almost act in one accord as though they were not human.
So we have a question from YouTube, from Lori on. Hi, YouTube.
Hi, Lori.
Welcome back. I'm getting a little echo. Hold on a second. The question is, hasn't graphene been in those injectable devices for a long time?
Great question, Lori. I wish that I knew everything, and I wish probably that I knew as much as you, Lori. But one of the things that I do know is I know patents. And so what I've had to and make myself do is go in and read a lot about the vaccine nanotechnology. And I'm going to play a little clip for you, Lori, and for anybody out there whose name is Lori, and for anybody out there who wants to be the Loris of the future, somebody who's really thinking, who's doing research. You've probably known about these things longer than I have. But I want to play this to you. This is Karen Kingston explaining the patent technology. Here we go.
So let's get into this, and I'd like to take you through the patents that are on Moderna's website. So there's a patent entitled Modified Polynucleotides for the Production of Secreted Proteins. This is one of the master patents for what they're calling mRNA vaccines. Right in the abstract, it describes that lipid nanoparticles have a particle size between 80 and 160 nanometers, and it contains modified mRNA encoding a polypeptide. It includes a cationic lipid, a neutral lipid, a cholesterol, and a pegylated lipid. What they're calling lipids actually host cationic charges. They host positive electromagnetic fields. There's no lipid in nature that does that. They're using the term lipid instead of nanotechnology. As you go through the patent in section 219, it explains how they are self-assembled nanoparticles, and they're fully programmable. That term in here it is an alarming term for a number of reasons. One reason is that these are both pre-programmable as well as they can receive programs from an external source. Microsoft did a 3-minute video on their technology. They call them biological computers.
Imagine a world where we can do computation inside living cells.
The problem that we're trying to solve is really trying to have a more sophisticated diagnosis.
Okay, and so this is it's modified polynucleotides for the production of secreted proteins, and the actual patent number, which I will, I'll send it to you in the private chat here. I'm sending it to you in the private chat. I'm hitting send.
I have a question. I have a question about this. I'll post this. Is there any scenario in which the people that are putting out this technology, is there any scenario where they are saying that it's for good reasons, that it's an altruistic technology that is supposed to help people? I mean, I know that we have people like Bill Gates who pretend to be doctors and go around saying that they're going to do certain things with medicine that are going to help the world. That's not what I mean. Do you see any sincere people looking at these technologies and saying, this is good?
No, but I see people that are working on small parts of the system thinking what they're doing is good. So I'm going to give you an example. I met a lady at the Reawaken tour, by our 3rd or 4th event. She came to me. She was so excited. She says, I work at Moderna. I am so glad you're talking about ABC 123. I've been devoting my career to this, and we were working on this to create a system with this nanotechnology where you could actually, she said, I know it sounds kind of confusing, but your immune system could be connected to the network. So like in the way you could download an update to your phone.
Right.
You can download an update to your immune system. So if there ever was a virus, no one could get it. It's incredible. And then I said, and she goes, and it's all being used for nefarious reasons, all of it. So, and then I said to her, so when did this occur to you? She said, I guess I was just trying to, make the best technology I could. I didn't really know. I was a researcher, blah, 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 blah. And so you hear that kind of thing all the time. Now, Yuval Noah Harari was interviewed for a podcast, or I said podcast, but a documentary. And the documentary was asking him about the future of the world. What do you see as the future? This is Yuval Noah Harari, praised by Obama, Zuckerberg, Gates, MIT, Stanford, Harvard. By the way, Revelation chapter 16, verse 12 through 14, Revelation chapter 16, verse 12 through 14, it tells you that when the Euphrates River dries up, the false prophet will show up, and China and Russia will team up. And this guy, Yuval Noah Harari, is referred to as the prophet. His name in Hebrew means Yuval, father of music, Noah, as in the days of Noah, Harari, mountain dweller. And Yuval Noah Harari, he's doing this interview here. Listen to what he said about this technology. It's unbelievable.
With especially the rise of brain-computer interfaces and biometric sensors and so forth, it is very likely that within, say, 50 years, people will literally be part of a network. All the bodies, all the brains would be connected together to a network, and you won't be able to survive if you're disconnected from the net, because your own body parts, your own immune system perhaps depends on being constantly connected to the network.
So that's like right out of the Matrix. I mean, it's like this futuristic idea. Now, I do have some questions about this. Cheryl on Facebook says the man is a nutcase.
I agree.
Harari is. And it's interesting because when you go to our Barnes and Noble in town where I live, they literally have a shrine to him. His books are displayed.
There it is.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And so I just want to, I always want to have hope, right? And as a society, I believe that we are survivors, that the human instinct to survive and the connection to God is very strong. And so have you had conversations with people who are able to counter this? I know that there is a lot of ability to counter these things spiritually. God can overcome anything. But we have Space Force, and we do have people in our military who are on Team Freedom. Are you having any conversations with people in those realms who are coming up with solutions and antidotes?
Well, okay, and I just want to be for people to know so that you can be impressed or unimpressed, either way. Okay, so this is the thing, because of the nature of research that I do and the veracity with which I constantly am researching, a lot of wonderful people have introduced themselves to me, or I've met them this year, the last 3 years actually. So if you go to timetofreeamerica.com, all the research I've talked about is all documented there. And what I find, I'll just give you an example of some people that are kind of in my orbit. President Trump's, I would say chief advisor, a chief advisor for President Trump would be Roger Stone. I talk to Roger all the time. Okay. And Roger's always like, man, you are on this stuff. It is so scary. It's so crazy. It's so, but Roger embraces that this is in fact their plan. He's aware of it. General Flynn understands the military industrial complex. So he actually understands that countries such as China have been working on these brain control weapons for a long time. So within the realm of reason, it's possible. But General Flynn can grasp that it's possible that there are nefarious people doing this kind of thing. Roger Stone can as well. Now you start to get outside of that circle a little bit. And a lot of these people, I'm not going to mention names because I don't want to throw someone under the bus, but a lot of people that are, at the top of the conservative food chain, they have a hard time even believing this is possible. Right, let alone looking for a solution to it, because it is so dystopian that the level of cognitive dissonance that they're experiencing is too much for them to handle. Also, many of the people in the conservative leadership are ignorant of the Bible. So, whether I believe in the mark of the beast or you believe in the mark of the beast or not, the mark of the beast is a real thing in the Bible, Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 through 18. And you're having nefarious people like Klaus Schwab and Yuval Noah Harari who are working diligently, devilishly, to create the mark of the beast system. And so when I was on Tucker Carlson Alex Jones with General Flynn the other day, and Alex Jones was just on Tucker Carlson. And when Alex Jones was being interviewed by Tucker Carlson, he said, Tucker, whether people believe in the mark of the beast or not, it really doesn't matter. The elites do, and they are in the process of building the mark of the beast system. So what I'm finding on our team, by and large, is most conservatives are having a hard time believing that there's nefarious people like this that actually exist, let alone the fact that they're developing this technology. So that's kind of maybe a word of discouragement, maybe, I don't know. But what I will say is the Bible, God wasn't surprised by this. When you read the First Thessalonians in the Bible, chapter 4, it says, and I want everyone to look this up, First Thessalonians chapter 4, it says here, this is so important, everyone reads this, okay? It says, I would have you not to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that ye sorrow not, even as those others which have no hope. For if we believe that Jesus Christ died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Jesus will God bring with him. For this we say unto you by the word of the Lord, that we which are alive and remain until the coming of the Lord shall not prevent them which are asleep. That's us, folks. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, and with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and shall remain, that's us, shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. The Bible tells you that's how you comfort yourself. So I would just say, homework, Bible research for everyone out there is B, read Revelation chapter 16, verse 12 through 14, and come to grips with the idea that the Bible says when the Euphrates River dries up, that's when the false prophet will show up, and that's when China and Russia will team up. And by the way, China and Russia are teaming up militarily. They're teaming up financially through the BRICS system, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. And they're also teaming up now with their communication systems via this crazy quantum technology. That's a real thing. And this guy, you all know Harari, he did show up. And you talked about a shrine in the bookstore. I want people to know this. I sell, and again, I'm friends with General Flynn and Alina Habba, President Trump's lead attorney, and Eric Trump, and so many wonderful patriots. I am not a household name. Most of the people on the Reawaken tour that speak at our events are much more well known than I am. I'm just the organizer that puts things together. I'm sort of the connective tissue that makes it happen. But I sell, 5 to 50 copies of my books every day. And most of my books are entrepreneurial. They're not even about this kind of thing. So when you go to thrivetimeshow.com, I sell between 5 and 50 books a day, 50 during a busy season, 5 on an average slow day. Yuval Noah Harari is averaging right now 40,000 copies of his books sold a week. He just surpassed 46 million copies of his books sold during just the past couple years. And MSNBC gave him 1 hour and 8 minutes the other night, 1 hour and 8 minutes to talk about. And this is what he talked about, by the way, just so we're clear. This is what he's talking about right now. And I'm not making up any of this. And if you want to learn about this guy, you just go to timetofreeamerica.com. He's now referring to humans as hack animals. He wants to ban the eating of meat. He rejects the God of his fathers. He wants to rewrite the Bible using AI. He says that the Bible advocates for slavery. He wants to remove privacy. He wants to eliminate human rights. He wants to change the laws and the times. And this is the guy being celebrated.
And he wants to create a slave world. And he's says, he's bashing the Bible. It's crazy. But I just have, when I hear things like this, it just increases my tendency to lean into God and to look in the history of the world and of what God has done, because this isn't the first time that somebody has tried to take the place of God. It's not the first time at all, and we see what God has done to them. However, I will say, like in the book of Daniel, that the prayer and dedication to the Lord is essential. And as Americans, as Westerners, we really have lost that. And this is a time where you can either choose to run around in fear, or you can lean into God and learn his word and understand what it says, and also be informed. So don't be scared, be prepared, and know what God's word says, and also understand that God can be moved by the prayers of his people.
You know what's interesting is my nickname that I've been called by a lot of the speakers on the tour is they call me back all the time backstage and on the phone. They always call me the Prophet of Doom because before the lockdowns happened, you know, I was calling all the mayors, governors, senators, and I was saying, hey, look, they're going to call lockdown. And they're going to use it based upon these polymerase chain reactions that test these PCR tests that are falsely calibrated to inflate the cases. And they're going to use these models, which are falsely calibrated, and they're created by Neil Ferguson, who's always wrong. So models are false, PCR tests are false. And by the way, the system and method for testing for COVID was patented in 2015. And they always would say, what did you just say? I said the system and method for testing for COVID-19 was patented in 2015. I'll put a link on, I'll send it to you in just here. And they would always say, there's no way.
That was
They're
Carrie
never going to
Mullis.
do a lockdown in America. Carrie Mullis, right. And I would always hear, you're negative. You're being negative. They're never going to do a lockdown in Oklahoma, in America, in Michigan, and Texas. Never going to do a lockdown in Wisconsin. They'll never get away from that in Minnesota, don't you know? They'll never get away with that, don't you know? And everybody would say that to me. And then when the lockdowns happened, a lot of people started calling me, these speakers, and said, bro, you were right on that.
Yeah.
But you know, are you being negative? I mean, dude, where's the hope here? How long are they going to do a lockdown? I'm like, well, they're going to do a lockdown, and then they're going to force RNA modifying nanotechnology under your skin is the only solution. And they're going, no way, they would never do a vaccine mandate. I'm going, no, they're going to have a mask mandate and a vaccine mandate. And people were going, how do you know that? I'm going, well, because the masks have already been purchased. The script has already been written. I'm not a genius. It's just a plan, you know? And over time, these speakers started telling me, all right, Prophet of Doom, what do you got for me now? And so now we're kind of in a flow where most of the speakers know that I pretty much know what's going on with the Great Reset. I know that's what I know. I know that world. But what's great is that people like Alina Habba, President Trump's attorney, she knows what's going on with the Trump case. You know, people like Mike Lindell, he knows what's going on with the weaponization of the monetary system against small business owners and people that stand up for truth. You have people like, General Flynn, Kash Patel, Eric Trump, Don Jr., Jim Brewer, Roseanne. All these people are on the tour now, and we've got one final event in Michigan, and it's going to be June 7th and 8th. And everybody out there, Bree, we'd love to see you. Angela Reeves, Dawn, Maggie, we'd love to see you. And you can name your price. So it's like a fun way for your listeners to all get together, to meet each other, to get from outside or from behind the screen and to meet each other. It's far enough in advance. You can book a ticket there. You can get there. You can name your price. June 7th and 8th. We have over 70 speakers over a 2-day period. What I'm finding, Amanda Grace, is all these wonderful speakers and attendees are becoming friends. And so now there's a certain momentum behind it. And I believe that's a large part of, the Bible tells us God has infinite wisdom. But one of the things the Bible stresses in Hebrews 10:25 is we're not supposed to forsake the gathering, even as we draw closer to the end. We're not supposed to forsake the gathering. Hebrews 10:25. And when you get together and when you're in the room with 5,000 wonderful patriots that love God, and you're sitting next to someone and you say, how did you hear about it? And then they say, I heard about it on the Grace Time. And you go, well, how did you hear about it? They go, well, I heard about it through Mike Adams. They go, well, how'd you hear about it? I was on One America. You start to go, well, I have no idea who you are, but now we're friends. And I'm telling you, people become the best of friends over the past 3 years. And that would be my word of encouragement today, my 3 calls to action. 1, go to timetofreeamerica.com, find a way to get there to Michigan. We let you name your price. My wife and I offset the losses so everybody can afford to go. We really are passionate about everybody being able to go. Second is when you go to the event, there's a hotel we're working with where most of the patriots are going to be staying together. So it's a really fun way to meet other patriots. And then finally, if you just want to get encouraged tonight, you can watch the Reawaken America Tour documentary 100% free at timetofreeamerica.com, featuring General Flynn and Mike Lindell and other good-natured people who love God, Pastor Artur Pawlowski. And you can watch it for free again at timetofreeamerica.com. And then all the patents we referenced on today's show and more can be found at timetofreeamerica.com/revelation.
That it's all right up here on the screen, everybody. The website, the QR code, it's right there. It links to the Reawaken tour, but it links to the site itself. So you can go and find all of this information that Clay has referenced. And you can also, once you put your information in, they are going to call you. They're going to vet you. The security at these events is very tight. So it's a really amazing experience, and I recommend it to everybody. The vendors in the vendor hall are, all patriots. Many of them have written books,
Yeah.
created incredible brands, run amazing businesses. You don't have time really to take it all in. That it's a 2-day event. Get in line at 6 a.m., 5:30 a.m. You're going to see people. They're going to be out there talking to you, and General Flynn's going to be out there. Clay is going to be out there. Everybody is so friendly and just so kind. And I can't stress enough, if you can get to this event, go to the event. I've had an opportunity to be at several of them, and it's amazing. And just thank you again, Clay, for what you and Vanessa are doing to make this possible financially for people. It's not a money-making venture. It makes me laugh when people say that you're getting rich off of it.
Well, actually lost quite a bit. I was talking to a young lady today, and I'll just give you an example. She knew one of the vendors. We hire people to do sound systems and lighting and security and whatever. And this young lady, I say young lady, she's probably mid-30s, and she says to me, I heard that the cost for your sound and lighting was X amount of dollars. How do you make any money? And I said, well, how do you think I make money? She said, I don't know. I was at the event, and I was, I know I paid $50 for my ticket, and I know a lot of people spend about $30, $50, 50, whatever. And I was just doing the math. There was only like 5,000 people there, so you couldn't have made more than, and she starts doing the math, and she goes, you really don't make money, do you? And I said, well, no, but I mean, just for the same reason, there's a lot of firefighters watching this. There's doctors, there's dentists, there's lawyers, there's moms, there's dads. Yeah. Most people do, in my opinion, people of virtue or people of character, you do the right thing because that's what you're supposed to do. And if the number one goal for everybody is to make money, it's not possible for a lot of, it's not possible to do the right thing sometimes. And so for our events, I have found some of the people that have been hurt the most by the lockdowns, quarantines, curfews, the Great Reset, those that would not comply. The doctor that wouldn't take the shot lost the job. The flight attendant that wouldn't take the shot lost the job. The military guy that wouldn't go along got kicked out of the military. So we want to make this an event where everybody can afford to go. And again, you just go to timetofreeamerica.com. You can request a ticket, and I promise you're going to have an absolute blasty blast. Our final event is in June, and then most of our key speakers, I would say, the ones that that everybody, the household names, Eric Trump, General Flynn, Don Jr., Laura Trump, et cetera, Kash Patel, they're all going to be joining Trump as a sprint to the White House. So starting in June, a lot of the speakers that you've got to know through the Reawaken Tour, a lot of them will be joining Trump, locking arms with him, and sprinting to the White House. So you'll see my efforts and the efforts of many of our speakers going to help support Trump during his rallies, and a lot of work we're doing behind the scenes. So again, I encourage everybody, this will be the final opportunity to witness this all together from what I've been told from both Eric and General Flynn. And again, you can get those tickets at timetofreeamerica.com. And I just encourage everybody, Judy, Linda, Sean, we want to see you there. I promise you're going to have a great time.
And if anybody is listening and you actually want to contribute, if you want to provide a scholarship, you can also contact Clay through the website. The team will get in touch with you, and a lot of people do that. You can gift the tour, and there are people who can't afford it. Whatever, you can help cover expenses. However you want to do it, just contact them, and that could be your contribution. Every little bit helps, right? So. Clay, it's always incredible to have you here. And, do you have any parting words for our listeners today?
Well, I just think if you read the Bible, and I know that it's a generic statement to say, or kind of a broad statement, if you read the Bible, I'm just saying specifically tonight, if you will take the time, folks, to read Mark chapter 13, takes you 5 minutes. If you read Luke chapter 21, takes you 5 minutes. If you read Matthew chapter 24, it takes 5 minutes. If you read that, you're going to go, well, none of this surprised God. And the Bible wasn't written to scare anybody. It was written to prepare people. And God came down from infinity into time. He is the beginning and the end, the Alpha and the Omega. The word history means his story. And God, has a plan for the world. And you and I are part of that plan. And so I just encourage everybody to read the Bible, get right with Christ, share the gospel like it's going out of style, share the gospel like God's coming back soon, live every day like it could be your last, plan as though you're going to be on the planet for a long time, but live every day with that kind of urgency. Share the gospel, and I think you'll be feeling good that you're on the right team, regardless of when Christ returns. But I'm telling you, a lot of the things that Jesus said that would have to happen before his return, although they seem improbable, unbelievable, now they're all happening simultaneously. So here we go.
Hold on for the ride, guys. 2024 is going to be lit. It already is. We will see you back here tomorrow. I do have a show at 1 o'clock. And as always, please remember that you can go to marygracemedia.com, go to my shopping tab, support our partners, our affiliate partners, and, support America First companies, protect your money, spend your money on things that matter. So marygracemedia.com, there's tons of stuff that you can choose there, and then also get on the mailing list. Come back tomorrow, 1 o'clock. If you're not on the mailing list, get on the mailing list, because the chances are you probably won't get a notification. Have a great evening, everybody. Thanks again, Clay, for being here, and we will look forward to having you back anytime. You're always welcome on the show. Good
Take
night,
care.
everybody.